General Security Service is detaining people in the city for state changes. Do you know what happened? Yes, your phone, please. Do you have only one phone? Yeah. Please, could you kindly give it to me right here if you don't? Can we go to the station? Yes?
Inside a moving van, a man listens in silence as officers speak. His face tightens, his eyes widened. His mobile phone is taken from him and he is handcuffed. "Do you know what happened?" an officer asks. To this, the man answers, "Yes." He already knows what lies ahead and what he did. The buildup feels like something out of a spy novel, but the reality is even more compelling, with nail-biting suspense. A former Russian diplomat, once entrusted with state secrets and posted to the United States, has been sentenced to 12 years in a maximum security penal colony after Moscow accused him of selling classified information to U.S. intelligence. Russia's Federal Security Service identified the man as Arseny Konovalov, born in 1987, and said he was convicted of high treason.
It was established that A.S. Konovalov, an employee of the Russian Foreign Ministry, during a long-term foreign assignment in the United States, proactively transferred secret information to American intelligence for money.
Konovalov was arrested in March 2024 by the FSB, which oversees Russia's counterintelligence operations. State news agency TASS later released video footage showing a visibly shocked Konovalov being detained while traveling in a van, as officers informed him that he was suspected of treason. The FSB did not specify what classified material Konovalov allegedly handed over, nor did it name the U.S. intelligence agency he was accused of cooperating with. Unconfirmed reports on Russian Telegram channels have claimed he was recruited by the CIA during his posting in Texas. U.S. intelligence agencies declined immediate comment. According to Russia's Kommersant newspaper, Konovalov served as second secretary at the Russian Consulate General in Houston and worked in the United States from 2014 to 2017. A Moscow court sentenced a former Russian diplomat to 12 years in a maximum security penal colony for selling secrets to U.S. intelligence while on a posting to the United States, according to FSB. FSB, which is the main successor to the Soviet-era KGB, said that Arseny Konovalov, born in 1987, had been found guilty of treason. The case against Konovalov concerns actions that allegedly took place years before Russia began its full-scale military campaign in Ukraine in 2022. Konovalov was taken into custody by Russian authorities in March 2024, but neither his detention nor the charges against him were disclosed publicly until now. In Russia, treason cases are generally handled behind closed doors, with information typically withheld until a verdict is delivered. This year, 4 defendants were sentenced to life imprisonment, 3 died while in custody, and no acquittals were reported. On December 22nd, a Western media outlet reported that, according to U.S. intelligence, Russian President Vladimir Putin's territorial ambitions remain unchanged, and that Moscow still seeks to occupy Ukrainian territory. Soon after these reports surfaced, Trump's intelligence chief went all out against the outlet, calling the claims lies and propaganda pushed on behalf of warmongers to undermine Trump's peace efforts. But as if the post from her official X account was not enough, in a follow-up post on her personal account, DNI Tulsi Gabbard further emphasized that Russia lacks the capability to conquer and occupy Ukraine, let alone invade Europe. She said U.S. intelligence does not support the European and NATO narrative that Moscow aims to occupy Europe. Gabbard accused deep state warmongers and sections of the Western media of spreading these narratives. After dismissing the report, Gabbard spoke at a Turning Point USA event and sharply criticized detractors of President Donald Trump, accusing them of sabotaging his efforts to end a brutal conflict that has left more than 1 million people wounded or killed on both sides. She directly accused EU and NATO leaders of pushing the US toward conflict with Russia while undermining peace talks, warning that deep state forces are actively working to block negotiations and prolong the war.
President Trump has been persistently and relentlessly pursuing a peace deal to finally end the war between Russia and Ukraine. He talks frequently about the need to end the killing and the bloodshed, and his teams are negotiating now as we gather here. But what I've seen over these months is that every time they make progress and they move closer and closer to that hope for peace, the warmongers in the deep state step up and try to do everything they can to stop them. Predictably, they use the same old tactics that they've always used. The deep state within the intelligence community weaponizes intelligence to try to undermine progress. They leak it to their friends in the mainstream propaganda media to try to spread this and push a false narrative. They foment fear and hysteria as a way to justify the continuing of the war and their efforts to undermine President Trump's efforts towards peace. And do so specifically in this case in order to try to pull the U.S. military into a direct conflict with Russia, which is ultimately what the EU and NATO want. We cannot allow this to happen. We have to see clearly what's happening before our very eyes and stand united in this cause of peace. I've served in the Army now for almost 22 years. I'm grateful to serve. Thank you. I've deployed twice to the Middle East and once to East Africa as part of a joint special operations task force to go after Al-Qaeda in Somalia. But during my first deployment to Iraq in 2005, I served in a medical unit in a base about 40 miles north of Baghdad. And shortly after arriving there, I was walking around our camp, trying to familiarize myself with the place, when I was stopped in my tracks by a sign that someone had put up at the gate where most of our security patrols went in and out of every single day. And this is inside the camp. Just before they left every day, they saw in big block letters the words, "Is today the day?"